This is video safety minute number 5, and the topic is the business unit procedures. Number 4 was how to improve corporate procedures, but now we're going deeper into the business units. And my name is TJ Larkin. So let's get started. On the corporate procedures, I had a very specific recommendation for you. It's you take your corporate procedures and you change them into communication best practice, and they'll look something like that. And I don't recommend you do this for business unit procedures. I don't recommend you do this for business procedures because you won't succeed because there's too many of them. You know, the business unit procedures, there's hundreds and hundreds of them, and some of them are in just appalling condition. And if you decide that you're gonna tackle this, you're gonna fix all these procedures, you're gonna lose. You know, you're just gonna lose. If you're BASF and you decide, you know what we're going to do, we're going to rewrite, bring up to communication best practice all of our business unit procedures. Well, then my recommendation is that they stop making plastic. You know, like just don't make chemicals, because you're not going to be able to just produce normally and run a normal organization trying to tackle something of this size. I'm not recommending a gigantic top-down mega approach to business unit procedures. Instead, I'm going to recommend the exact opposite. A small scale, bottom up micro project. This is what a lot of you are doing. You're taking your business unit procedures and you're squeezing them into a template. I think it's okay. I've seen advantages to it. I've talked to clients who've been very happy with the results. I can see some advantages to it, but I'm not enthusiastic. I don't think there's enough value added in this. I think it's a lot of work for the business units, and I'm not so sure that just making everything look the same is making us any safer or is making us any better. It's just really making us all the same. I want to suggest almost a completely opposite approach to you than that. I want to suggest a bottom-up micro approach to your business unit procedures. And what would that look like? Each business unit improve one procedure each quarter that they submit to a corporate panel. This is a small group of 5 or 6 people who've had a little bit of training, and they give the improvement a pass or a fail. And if it's a pass, that's fine. You're good to the next quarter. If it's a fail, you got to resubmit. So this has each business unit improving their own procedure once a quarter for a year. Now, that's a pretty micro project, but think about it. You know, like after 5 years, they would have done 20 procedures, and they'd have done them themselves. Now, if you go to a business unit and say, take one of your procedures and improve it, improve the communication of it, they won't have a clue, right? They're just going to look at you blankly. They got no idea what you mean or what you're supposed to do. So we have a sample procedure booklet. And what is this? This is just samples of what would count as improving one's procedure. And I brought you 3 examples out of the book. I think there's 10, 12 altogether. And that's what you would show the business units to help them think through what would be an improvement. I just want to show you a simple one. Number 1. Add photos. Here's an idea for a business unit that would improve their procedures. So here's their log out, tag out procedure. And it really only involves 2 steps. The first step is you're going to take that line length, you're going to cut it in half so that you have a 3.5-inch margin, a 3.5-inch line length. And that's going to open up a big space here. Now, just doing that, just cutting that line from 7 inches to 3.5 inches is going to give you a 20% improvement in the comprehension of the document, just doing that alone. So is that worth doing? That all by itself is worth doing. But now you've created this empty space. And what I'm going to suggest is that you start to add some photographs. So they're going to go into their own plants and they're going to take photographs. So if this is an energy isolating device, they're going to take a picture or 2 of one of those from their own place. This is a log out box. You may use a different type, but they're going to go out and use their own log out box. They're going to take pictures of it. And then they're going to place those pictures or insert them into the document, into the empty space. Now, let's ask 2 questions. Number 1, can they manage to do that? And the answer is yes, they can. They can cut the margin in half. They can take pictures and place them in the document. Could they have rewritten the whole procedure and made it a lot better and applied communication best practice? No, they couldn't. It takes me all day, you know, to do a single page. You know, I've been doing them since I did my first procedure for BP in 1990. I have a PhD in communication. Yeah, I could probably do it. They can't. They can do what I just showed you here. And number two, well, is that an improvement? Is that actually better? It's 20% better just cutting the margin, and it's probably about 200% better procedure, higher recall and retention when you included the photographs, particularly because those photographs come from their own area. So they can do it, number one. And number two, it's absolutely worth doing. And that would count as a big improvement to one procedure. They would do that once a quarter. So second example, highlighting risk. We have procedures, right? They're long, but some parts of those procedures are extremely high risk. Well, who knows that? The local people know that. So we're going to set up a table. We're going to have some really experienced supervisors, probably an experienced safety person or two there. They're going to just go through this procedure and they're going to say, hey, what's the most dangerous part of this procedure? Maybe more specifically, what is the part of the procedure employees are most likely to do wrong that would have really negative consequences? And they're just going to highlight that in yellow. You're going to save the PDF with the highlights in there. And already it's a major improvement because you've highlighted the risk. So you just made it easier for employees who are going to follow that procedure to think, oh man, I better be especially careful here. This risk is highlighted. So I want to show you now how this particular refinery evolved in this process. So they took, when they said the supervisors at a table, they tape recorded it, and then they went back through and started realizing, well, why are we just highlighting? Why don't we actually take the comment that was made by the supervisor and write the comment into the actual procedure? And that was a good thing to do. Now watch what they do next. This is the sort of thing corporate people, overly educated people like me, would never think to do, but local people would think to do. They thought, well, as long as we're using his comment, why don't we put his picture in there? Now, this guy's a local supervisor who made this comment, who's highly respected. Is that a good idea? Absolutely. Absolutely, that's a good idea. That's just incredibly smart. It personalizes the procedure. These procedures are written like there's some kind of weird legal documents. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a highly respected supervisor, his picture, and his warning about this section of the procedure. I mean, it's just a brilliant thing to do. To show you how smart these people are, I want to show you the next thing they did. They thought, well, as long as we're going this far, and they already had a tape recording of this guy anyway, they embedded a voice file into the PDF, which was his warning. So give me 1 second here. I'll see if I can show you an example of this.
Hey, you need to be really careful when you're draining out the flushing oil from the charge pump. You're going to drain the oil to the SH drain, but wait until the oil has cooled down. If you drain when the oil is still hot, it will damage the drain pipes. Wait until the oil cools to some temperature below 80 degrees centigrade.
Do you see what I mean? It's just so smart. It's just such a smart thing to do. And it's creative. And it's going to work. And it's just a brilliant idea. Let me show you one more, and then I'll let you guys go. This is number 3, which is a field book for contractors. So they took their procedure, which was on crane safety, and it's maybe 8-9 pages long. And they said, well, you know, like, what's the problem we have here is not really with our people. The problem we have with our contractors. And so they took out of this procedure the 6 things that contractors were most likely to do wrong. And then they really summarized those things, illustrated them, and made what they called a field book. And this is laminated. It's pocket size. It's 6 pages, 7 counting the cover. It's got a spiral binding in it. And they would hand it to contractors when they handed them their permits. And when the contractors hand the permits back in, they give the book back in. Now, that's just a brilliant idea. And those are the kind of ideas that are in the sample book to give them an idea of the kind of things they can do. Now, let's look for a second. I'm just about finished with you guys here, but just look at what these people did. Look at what the people in the field did. Did they add more pages to their existing procedure? No. Did they add more steps to the existing procedure? No. What were they really doing? They were really simplifying the existing procedure, either by highlighting, by adding photographs, by adding pictures. And so what they were doing was they were concentrating the employees' attention into some parts of the procedure. What does that field book do? It pulls out 4 or 5 parts out of the procedure. So what was the instinct of these people to do? You may remember the study from the previous safety minute I did on corporate procedures. But what this study showed was that as procedures became long and complex, errors actually increased. And what is the field doing? They're pushing the procedures back down towards greater simplicity, towards being smaller, towards being shorter, towards being more simple. And look at their instincts. Their instincts are right, because when procedures are simple and easy, they're associated with a low level of errors. When procedures become long and complex, they're associated with a high number of errors. So I'm just recommending each business unit prove one procedure once a quarter, submit to a corporate panel, give them a pass or fail. Now, at the beginning, this sample book is probably going to be mostly my samples, right? But over time, your corporate panel, which is getting quite a few of these procedures in from your business unit, they will see some incredibly smart things. And when they see those incredibly smart things, they start building those into the sample book. So now over time, the sample book is becoming less stuff that TJ gave us and more stuff of things we've done ourselves, things that make sense in their context and their people. And do you see now why I lack enthusiasm for the current movement, which is to template everything? And I don't mean to be too negative. I've seen some real advantages of this templating, and I think it's probably worth doing. But do you see why I'm not enthusiastic about it? I'm doing the exact opposite of that. What I'm recommending is that you unleash the creativity, that you get them to build things that make sense in their world, in their place. They do it in their way. And I just think that's the right way to go to improve business unit procedures. So this is the team. This is me. We've done 4 on corporate procedures, 5 on business unit procedures. And I'm going to do a 6, which is really short, but it's just some really good new studies out on the relationship between procedures and safety. And I'll do that next. Hey, thanks for joining me and sitting through this thing. And I hope it's useful for you. Bye.